Hold on. Let me reread this registry line one more time before we start, because I want to make sure I'm reading what I think I'm reading. Head over to R&B for the registry link and to come to our baby shower. 14 days on the countdown clock. A mansion. A stream. A gift bar at the door. And a man 3 days ago whose house sits inside a notice of default for $92,000 and change. Both of those things are on the same phone. Same week. Same girl. Same guy. Ride with this one. I'm reading these documents in real time, and if you've ever wanted the version of this story that isn't screamed at you, hit the button that keeps the channel breathing and turn the bell on so the next filing doesn't slip past you. Nevaeh Akira, girlfriend of Jonathan Michael Porter, the one you know as Blueface, went on TikTok Live from her phone this weekend to promote a public baby shower scheduled for August 16th in a rented mansion. The event is being organized by Wack 100's daughter R&B and coordinated with Wack 100 himself. Nevaeh is due August 24th with a boy the couple has now renamed Jonathan Jr. She confirmed she was doing the shower publicly, that guests would be routed through a registry to attend, and that the whole thing would be filmed. 2 more names belong in this folder before we walk into the paper. Jackilyn Martinez. Hold that one. We come back to her. And Carlissa Saffold, Blueface mother, who has publicly disputed the pregnancy math on camera separately from Wack. Geography matters too. The Porter residence and the rented shower mansion are 2 different Los Angeles County addresses, and only one of them appears on a recorded instrument. The registry itself isn't abstract. Either it's a live, itemized page with a countdown widget, a $100 gift card tier, and a purchase counter that updates in public. Start with what's on record. A notice of default and election to sell under deed of trust was filed against the Porter residence on June 2, 2026. The document states the amount required to reinstate the loan was $92,054.44 and that the last payment posted was for the October 2025 billing cycle, meaning the mortgage went unpaid from November 1st, 2025 forward. That's not a rumor. That's a recorded instrument at the county level. On the Nevaeh side, the receipts are lighter but they exist. Her own Instagram story, screenshot by multiple accounts, reads verbatim. Head over to R&B for the registry link and to come to our baby shower. That post carries the countdown widget dated to August 16th. Then there's the restaurant clip everyone keeps replaying. Blueface, on camera, asks Nevaeh whether she brought her EBT card to cover the meal. Nevaeh laughs. He laughs. The room laughs. TikTok clipped it, the Shade Room ran it, and it's still circulating. The Facebook write-up from Black Cosmopolitan pushed it further and framed it as Blueface admits his broke, asks girlfriend for welfare. Wack 100's involvement isn't a rumor either. Nevaeh named him twice on the live. Shout out to Wack, shout out to R&B, they popping for me and Blue and the baby. That's on tape. She said it herself. And Wack has been actively questioning Nevaeh's pregnancy timeline on prior lives, a clip that's been circulating since spring. One more. The Kit channel. Nevaeh, on live, points viewers to Blue's Clues 124 as Blueface active streaming home. That handle exists. It's live. 58,000 followers, last streamed within the last day. Not a ghost account. An active revenue lane running parallel to everything else on this list. Keep going, because the folder got heavier since the first draft of this episode. January 14th. His own X account, his own words, published in full by XXL, Nevaeh has been cut from the roster. She did not make the team. This is a dictatorship, not a democracy. 7 months before the mansion. Same woman. Same man renaming the baby after himself. Flat. Next document. And this one is the one I keep pulling back up. A default judgment tied to a defamation suit brought by Jackilyn Martinez left Blueface owing north of $130,000, with the figure reported at $131,655. Not a rumor cycle. A judgment. Entered because the other side showed up and he, reportedly, did not. Now the enforcement half of that same story, because a judgment is only paper until somebody collects it. Complex reported that his music royalties were seized to satisfy a defamation judgment tied to a $10 million suit, a claim that itemized $100,000 for pain and suffering, $18,000 in special damages, and additional costs on top. Royalties. Seized, meaning the passive income lane that would ordinarily service a mortgage note has a claim standing in front of it. I said, oh, out loud when I lined those two up. That's the honest reaction. And the big one, the number that reframes every other number on this page. A judge ordered Porter to pay more than $13 million in damages to a shuttered Las Vegas strip club over 2022 shooting. $13 million. Against a man whose reinstatement figure on his house is $9 to $2,000. There's a criminal spine underneath the civil one, too. Court reporting on the Las Vegas matter shows Judge Delaney originally handed Porter a 2 to 5 year suspended sentence on October 2, 2023, and that he was later back in front of the same court on the same case. Suspended means conditional. Conditional means a calendar he doesn't control. Last one for this pass, and it's the softest of the batch, Tier 2, reported, treated accordingly. Reports of his release from custody surfaced publicly on November 2, 2025. Sit with that date. We're coming back to it in about 90 seconds. Now let me lay these next to each other, because the calendar is doing something. October 2025, last mortgage payment posts. November 1st, 2025, mortgage goes into arrears. December 2025, Blueface and Nevaeh publicly confirmed the pregnancy on stream and to Complex. June 2nd, 2026, the notice of default gets filed. Late July 2026, the public baby shower with a gift registry gets announced. August 16th, 2026, the shower runs. August 24th, 2026, Nevaeh's due date. Somewhere between the shower and the birth, the reinstatement window on the mortgage closes. Read that list twice. The gift-based baby shower isn't happening in a vacuum. It's happening inside a specific 90-day corridor where a foreclosure clock is ticking and a delivery is imminent. Wait. Actually, let me pull back on that for a second. I'm not saying the shower is a foreclosure fundraiser. I want to be honest about the read. It's a pattern, not a filing. But the timing lines up with a specific financial pressure that's on public record, and the person coordinating the shower, Wack 100, has spent months questioning whether Nevaeh's story adds up. That combination is the seam. Then there's the not anybody line. Nevaeh said anybody's welcome, not anybody, not anybody. But it's going to be in a big mansion. She corrected herself mid-sentence on live. That's the moment the door quietly closed. The public-facing pitch is come through. The actual gate is the registry. If you don't root through R&B, you don't get the address. Now put the release report against the arrears date, because those two sit 48 hours apart. The mortgage stops on November 1st. He comes home on or around November 3rd. The household's payment history breaks the same week the household structure changes, and nobody in the coverage has drawn that line because the coverage was busy with the reunion. Then extend the same ruler 1 month further. A conception window of roughly December 1st, 2025 has been circulated alongside the August 24th due date, with the arithmetic laid out publicly on the reel that pushed it. 30 days after his out. 60 days after the note goes quiet. That's the actual sequence: freedom, arrears, conception, confirmation. And it happens inside a single fiscal quarter. Now the piece that makes the seized royalties detail bite. If a defamation judgment is attaching income at the source, the money that would normally clear a mortgage never reaches the account the mortgage draws from. So a live stream tip lane, a registry, and a pay-to-enter event aren't luxuries in that structure. They are the only revenue that arrives unattached. I want to be careful there. That's a Tier 3 red. It lines up, it isn't stamped. Trace the roster post forward, though, because that one's cleaner. January 14th, she's publicly cut from the roster. Weeks later, she's the confirmed mother of his son. By July, she's shooting maternity photos at a ranch with him and captioning, "Our baby is almost here, 39 days left until August 24th. Cut, reinstated, promoted, franchised, inside 7 months, with the arc documented on platforms that timestamp everything. And the deletion behavior around all of this is its own tell. Nothing came down. The roster post stayed up. The EBT clip stayed up. The circus quote stayed up. A camp that scrubs is a camp protecting an asset. A camp that leaves everything standing is a camp that considers the friction to be the asset. Here's the mechanic I hadn't clocked until the second pass. The registry isn't a link, it's a dashboard. The captured page shows an itemized list, a purchase counter, a percentage complete bar, and a gift card tier priced at $100. A percentage bar is a fundraising instrument. It's the same psychology as a thermometer graphic on a telethon. The audience can watch the number move, which converts giving into participation. Nobody builds that by accident for a party of 40 people. One more overlay and then we zoom. The registry didn't launch quietly, either. It launched with a viewer testimonial attached, Nevaeh amplifying a message calling her a soldier for carrying the pregnancy through everything that's been said about her. That's the sequence. Doubt the timeline in public, absorb the doubt in public, monetize the sympathy the doubt generated. Question, wound, registry. In that order. I want to zoom in on one exchange from the second live. The one with Blueface in the room. Nevaeh, you want to get pregnant right away. Blueface, yeah, basically. 9 months in the house, not doing nothing. That's a tier 1 receipt. His mouth, on his stream, timestamped, not paraphrased. And it's saying something specific. He's not saying I want a family. He's saying he wants her in the house for 9 more months after this one. Read that sentence as a housing math problem instead of a romantic one and it changes shape. Whoever's inside that residence, or the next residence, since the current one is in default, becomes part of a containment plan. Now stack that against Nevaeh's own line from the same live, I want to be outside. As soon as I drop this baby, I want to be outside. She said that on camera. He said the opposite. Both statements are on the same stream, 30 seconds apart. That's not spin. That's a documented disagreement about her postpartum autonomy, and it's happening in front of a live audience with tips rolling in. One more magnifier. The circus exchange. Blueface, on live, I'm not part of the circus. I'm the promoter. I rent out the venue. Then, seconds later, it's the same circus, just different girls. He compared Nevaeh to that new artist that comes in raw, authentic before adding, but eventually the new artist becomes the old artist. You know how it goes after that. That's him telling the audience, while she's sitting next to him, that her role has an expiration date. On his own stream. Unprompted. Now the digital lens, because I had to zoom in 3 times before I trusted what I was looking at. An earlier capture of that same registry page carries a countdown that reads your baby's arriving in 116 days, with 67 items listed, 88 already purchased, and the completion bar sitting at 37%. 88 purchases against 6 to 7 items means the list has been overbought in places, multiples of the same thing, or gift card stacking. Somebody is giving cash equivalents to a registry that has more purchases than products. Business lens next, and this is the beat that made me stop typing. The seizure of royalty income to satisfy a defamation judgment isn't a headline, it's a lien on future earnings. That's Jackilyn Martinez's judgment doing work months after the news cycle forgot it, and it's the answer to the question everybody asks under every one of these videos. How is a rapper with plaques behind him 92,000 short on a house? Because the plaques paid to a pipe that somebody else is standing on. Legal lens. Quietly. A suspended sentence is not a closed case. It's a case sleeping with one eye open. Every public choice made in that window, every stream, every venue, every filmed event with a crowd, happens under conditions somebody else drafted. Audio lens. And I mean the output itself rather than the music. Independent tracking of the kick handle logs 49 streams, roughly 202 hours of total airtime across 36 active days. 200 hours. That's not a hobby and it's not a comeback. That's a shift schedule. And it means that unemployed rapper frame the comments keep reaching for is the wrong frame entirely. Is working. Just not at the job the mortgage was underwritten against. Behavioral lens, one small thing, and it's been bothering me all afternoon. He can't hold the due date. There's a clip of him fumbling it on camera and getting corrected. It's August 29th, blue, with the actual documented date being the 24th. The screen inside the appointment visit shows the 24th of August, 2026 plainly. A man who has publicly interrogated a pregnancy timeline down to the week cannot repeat the delivery date correctly. Hold that inconsistency. It becomes load-bearing before we're done. 3 cameras are pointed at this story and none of them are pointed the same way. The shade room framing, going back to the gender reveal, treats this as a family milestone. Warm coverage. Baby announcement energy. Focus on the couple, on the name, on the joy. The complex framing is more clinical. Their pregnancy confirmation piece leads with the fact that Blueface had alleged he cut her from the roster before the pregnancy news landed. That's a very different lead. That framing plants the seed that the relationship status was in question when the pregnancy became public. The tabloid-adjacent framing, Black Cosmopolitan, the TikTok clip aggregators, leans hard into the EBT beat and the foreclosure filings. Their read is, he's broke, she's covering, the shower is optics. Add a fourth camera, because the trade-adjacent outlets are running a completely separate emphasis. Hot New Hip Hop has built its coverage of this orbit around the management layer rather than the couple. Wack 100 as the explainer-in-chief, the person who steps in front of the microphone when a paternity question or a marriage question gets loud. Notice the verb choice across that reporting. Wack doesn't respond. Wack explains, clarifies, breaks down. Those are authority verbs. An outlet that grants a manager authority verbs has already accepted the manager as the narrator of the family. Then there's the legal press camera, which is the coldest of the set and the one nobody in the comments reads. The Review Journal covered this man for 2 years as a defendant with a docket, not as a personality with a stream. Their copy contains no nicknames, no roster jokes, no baby. Just a name, a jurisdiction, and a number with 7 zeros. What they bury is the personality. What the entertainment blogs bury is the number. Between the two of them, no single audience is looking at the whole man. Now here's the counter, and I want to give it its full weight before I push back. Somebody in the comments is going to say, it's a baby shower. People bring gifts to baby showers. That's how baby showers work. The registry isn't extortion, it's logistics. Wack 100 isn't running a scheme, he's helping a family celebrate a kid. And Nevaeh saying gifts required is just her being real about not letting freeloaders stream from a private event. Respect that read. It's not stupid. It's the read of a person who's watching this from the outside without the paper trail overlay. Here's why I still lean where I lean. It's not the registry. Registries are normal. It's the registry plus the notice of default plus the EBT joke plus the 9 months in the house quote plus Wack 100 as the coordinator plus the public livestream monetization plus the come see the Flamingo Circus self-description from Blueface's own mouth. Any one of those, standalone, is a normal fragment of a chaotic public life. All 6 of them, stacked inside a 90-day window that ends at a delivery date, is a pattern. And the pattern reads as a monetized birth event running parallel to an active financial crisis. Second counter. And this one doesn't come from the comments, it comes from a headline. A YouTube breakdown of the invite ran it as pay to enter, full stop, admission strictly by purchase. The pushback to that framing is that it's backwards. The defender's version says Wack's camp is the reason this pregnancy has any protection at all, and they've got footage to point at. Wack has publicly stated Blueface never refused a DNA test and that the camp would pay for one immediately, and in the same breath he defended Nevaeh against the online pile-on. Nevaeh herself has said publicly she intends to take a paternity test to end the speculation. So the defense is coherent. A manager who offers to fund a test and shields the mother from harassment is not a manager exploiting her. He's the only adult with a checkbook in the room. That's a real argument. Give it a full beat. Here's the problem with it. The offer to fund the test and the interrogation of the timeline come from the same mouth, and the interrogation came first. The pregnancy date's questioning is documented, and it happened in her face, on his client's stream, in front of the audience. You don't get credit for offering the umbrella after you called the rain. And the protection argument collapses entirely on the registry. A protector minimizes the mother's public exposure in her 3rd trimester. This plan maximizes it, a filmed event, a public address funnel, a purchase counter the internet can watch tick up. Every element of the protection reduces to a distribution decision. That's not shelter. That's scheduling. Which leaves the one question I still can't close from public paper. Who signed the lease on the mansion? Not the venue name, the signature. Nobody has produced it. Keep that in your pocket. The mainstream read is that Blueface and Nevaeh are just being Blueface and Nevaeh, chaotic, loud, always on stream, always in the mix. Registry drama on top of pregnancy drama on top of relationship drama. Standard product from the same factory. That red didn't appear on its own, either. Complex built the frame most of the internet inherited when it processed the roster announcement as dating live theater, a dictatorship, not a democracy, a punchline with a headline attached. Once the biggest music outlet in the room codes a man's household as content, every outlet downstream inherits the coding. Nobody was going to check a county recorder's office for a story that had already been filed under entertainment. The read I keep landing on after 3 passes through the paper: this isn't chaos. This is choreography. Look at what Wack 100 does for a living. He is a manager. He is a specific kind of manager, one whose entire brand is monetizing controversy and building revenue lanes out of relationships the rest of the industry would run from. When a Wack 100 client has a life event, that life event becomes a product. The Chrisine rock cycle, the Jaden Alexis album rollout, the endless livestream feuds, all of it runs through the same playbook. Attention, monetization, retention, next event. The public baby shower for a rapper facing foreclosure isn't a coincidence, and it isn't a party. It is a scheduled content beat. R&B, Wack's daughter, is running point on the coordination, which means the revenue and the guest list are inside the family that already manages Blueface revenue. The registry funnels the money. The stream funnels the attention. The delivery vlog, which Nevaeh confirmed she's shooting for her YouTube, funnels the aftermath into a durable, monetizable asset that pays out on repeat. And the structure underneath that arrangement is not a secret anybody's been guarding. Industry commentary around Blueface deal has openly alleged the manager and the label are the same party, that Wack owns the imprint while also managing the artist, which critics have characterized as double-dipping. Treat that as allegation, because that's what it is. But allegation or not, look at what it predicts. If the same household controls the label side and the management side, then a family event coordinated by that household isn't an outing. It's an internal transfer with a guest list. Now stack the personal choreography on top of the financial choreography. Blueface says on his own stream that he wants Nevaeh pregnant again immediately after this one. Nevaeh says on her own stream that she wants to be outside the moment she gives birth. Those two positions are not a debate. They are the pretext for a public conflict that hasn't happened yet but will, because both parties have already staked out their positions on tape in front of a paying audience. That is not how normal couples fight. That is how storyline fights get seeded. Here's the sharpened version. The Nevaeh Akira operation is not a family. It is a media franchise with a delivery date. The mansion is the set. The registry is the ticket booth. The baby is the season finale. And the foreclosure is the reason the whole calendar is running fast. And now I have to say something about one specific thing, because it's been sitting in my chest for the last 20 minutes. He can't remember the due date. That's the part. Not the money, not the mansion, not the manager. A man who has publicly litigated the paternity of a previous child down to the DNA, a fight complex documented in full, when he denied Chrisine Jr. was his, cannot hold the arrival date of the child he's renaming after himself. He has the timeline precision to interrogate a conception window and not enough to retain a delivery date. Those two facts cannot both be about the baby. One of them is about the baby. The other one is about the argument. And I think the interrogation was always the argument. Okay, back to the paper. Some jabs land here and I'm not softening them. Wack 100 has been questioning Nevaeh's pregnancy math on live for months. Then he's throwing her the shower. Pick a lane. The camp's other reflex tells on it too. When reunion footage with a previous partner surfaced, the response wasn't a denial of the relationship, it was a claim that the footage itself was AI. An operation that treats video as forgeable and a registry as gospel has a very specific relationship with evidence. A man in default on a $92,000 mortgage note doesn't need his girlfriend's EBT card to cover an Italian restaurant tab. He needs a check to the trustee. The joke isn't a joke. It's a tell. There's a detail in the fuller clip nobody's holding on to. Her card reportedly declined at the table, and she was visibly heated about being asked at all. So the bit everybody's laughing at is a scene where two people discovered, on camera, that neither of them could pay. That's not a punchline. That's a receipt about a household. The circus, different girls, bit isn't Blueface being a philosopher. It's Blueface accidentally naming the business model on his own stream while the model is running. 200 hours of kick airtime across 36 days and a mortgage that's been silent since November tells you the money isn't missing because nobody's working. It's missing because of what's standing in front of it. Somewhere in that stack is a $13 million judgment Las Vegas Review Journal that turns the 92,000 into a rounding error. Everybody's arguing about the house. The house was never the emergency. And Nevaeh saying the house is bigger than an apartment complex about a rented mansion, while the actual Porter residence is inside foreclosure paperwork, is the whole story in one sentence. The optics house isn't the real house. The real house is on the auction schedule. There's a version of this where I feel bad for everybody in it, and that version keeps showing up when I read the caption from the ranch shoot, "Our baby is almost here," written by a woman who's spent her entire third trimester being asked to prove her own dates. Whatever the calendar is doing, she's the one carrying it. I could be wrong about the choreography, Red. That's the honest hedge. Maybe this is just three people who genuinely like each other trying to celebrate a kid the loudest way possible because loud is the only volume any of them know. That version is possible, but it doesn't explain the calendar, and it doesn't explain the registry gate, and it doesn't explain why the man renting the venue is the same man who spent the pregnancy questioning whether the pregnancy was real. Watch what happens in the 7 to 2 hours around August 16th. The shower will run. It will be filmed. Clips will drop within the hour. The registry will be revealed to have been more curated than advertised, and a specific list of who was invited but didn't come will start circulating in comments by the following morning. That's the likely landing, a controlled event that produces a week of secondary content and a spike in Blueface kick numbers on Blue's Clues 124. Watch the completion bar too, because that's the metric with no PR department. The registry sat at 37% at last public capture with 88 items purchased. By the morning of the 17th, expect either a screenshot of a much fuller bar posted as a victory lap or total silence on the number. And the silence would be the louder result. Once the first clip lands, the aggregators inherit the frame within about 4 hours, and whichever caption they run becomes the historical record. Don't be shocked when a second, unlisted registry surfaces afterward, a Cash App tag, a for the hospital bag post, something that routes around the gift list entirely. And this one's going to split the timeline clean down the middle, because half of you are going to see a community showing up for a kid and half of you are going to see a turnstile. Don't be surprised if the wild card drops before August 24th. Somebody inside the operation, and I'm not going to guess which somebody, leaks something. A room tone clip, a backstage disagreement, a screenshot from a group chat. The reason I'm calling this, every previous Wack 100 Adjacent Life event has produced a mid-cycle leak that extends the news cycle by 10 days. This one has more attention than any of them. The leak math says there will be one. By the following week, expect the leak to be answered rather than denied. That camp's pattern is to reframe evidence rather than dispute it, the way the reunion footage got called synthetic instead of getting called old. Once that reframe hits, the DNA conversation comes back, because it never actually left. Wack already put a funded test on the table publicly, and Nevaeh already said she'd take one, which means the results become a content beat the moment either side needs leverage. The opposition's failure here is going to be predictable and total. The defenders will spend that week arguing the leak is fake while the actual document in play is the one nobody leaked, the trustees' notice. By the time the dust settles on the birth itself, the residue will be the piece nobody's tracking yet. The Porter residence in default gets resolved one of two ways in the fall, either it sells at auction or a last-minute reinstatement lands. And the source of that reinstatement money will tell the whole truth about what this year actually was. If the shower proceeds plus the delivery vlog plus the kick revenue plus whatever Wack is coordinating on the back end adds up to $92,054.44 plus arrears by the trustee's deadline, the whole calendar snaps into focus retroactively. If it doesn't, the house goes and the franchise moves to a rental, and the next season starts with a new address and the same cast. The next 18 months will decide whether that reinstatement was ever the point, because $92,000 doesn't touch the judgment stack behind it, a defamation default judgment north of $130,000 Hot 97 and a $13 million order out of Nevada don't get outrun by a registry. Watch how the royalty seizure mechanic ages. 2. If income keeps getting intercepted at the source complex, then every future dollar this family earns has to arrive through a channel that judgments can't reach, which means more streams, more events, more children on camera, permanently. That's the aftershock, not a foreclosure. A business model that can only survive by staying filmed. And the people currently arguing that this is all just a family celebrating a baby will be the same ones, 5 years out, asking why that kid has a public archive before he has a first birthday. Somebody in this comment section works in California real estate or Los Angeles County Records office. If you can pull the trustee's sale date on the Potter property, drop it. The public filings show the notice of default was recorded June 2nd, which puts the earliest possible sale date in the fall, and that date is the one that decides whether this year was a rescue operation or a swan song. Back to the 14-day countdown on Nevaeh's phone. I told you at the top I wanted to make sure I was reading it right. I read it right. A public shower with a paywall gift gate, a mansion that isn't the mansion, a mortgage in default, a manager coordinating the whole thing, and a delivery vlog already promised. That's the full paper. Hit the like. Subscribe. Bell on. If you catch the trustee's sale posting before we do, comments are open, you know where to drop it. Next case is already in the folder.